So the second category of the polymorphism is overriding. When a common function or same name of the function extended from parent class to child class. Technically we say it as extended. So how? Let's see. So we'll have a class here named as organization. So what I will do, calculation file name is not seems to be the good file name. I will delete that and I will create a new file, and that new file name itself I will give it as organization. Okay, and here we will have one more class called employee. In organization class I have a function, let's say public void show name, and here I have a sentence called console.writeLine. Some organization name is ABC Limited. Similarly, in my employee class I have another function, same name, and here we say employee name is something like whatever you give a name. Okay, and organization has got inherited to employee. That also you know how to inherit. Now the moment you inherit, it will show one warning here. It is not error, it is called warning, green color underline. Can I say? It is saying warning that when you execute the program in runtime, you will get a conflict here. Compiler is instructing you as a warning. So because here also show name, here also show name, here also zero argument, here also zero argument, everything same. So it is just like one warning, because during compilation time it doesn't allocate the memory of parent class to child class. Only during runtime it allocates the memory. That's why instead of red color underline, it is showing green color underline. If I'll put this inside the same class, then it will be which category? Compilation time polymorphism category. That means overloading category. So it will show red color underline. But when you do it in another class, then it is green color underline. Okay. So now coming to here, if I will create the object of my employee class, then employee class object will not understand which function need to be called, because for obj there are two functions with same name and it is child class. So this approach is not applicable. Now what is the solution for this problem? Currently we don't have even difference in the signature. If you see here also zero argument, here also zero argument. Still I want to call whichever object I am creating through that object, I want to call both the functions whenever whichever is required. So solution is, conflict part we already saw. Now solution is 3 points you have to remember for solution. One is, in parent class function use virtual keyword, and in child class function use override keyword. So we are discussing problem also, we are discussing solution also. So third is, when create the object, then first you create reference of topmost parent class and every time you call a function, instantiate means right hand side part, new something, allocate the memory. Okay, so instantiate that class which you want to call the function. So these are three rules you have to follow as a solution. So let's do that. First rule is go to the parent class and put a virtual keyword before in this function. So here I will say virtual. That means virtual means the ability to allow to extend the function in child class. So extending the function, it will give the permission. Then comes child class, second rule. Second rule says in child class, wherever you are getting the conflict, okay, here one conflict, maybe in another class means, suppose I have another class called department. There are also conflict, so I will have class department. I assume organization has inherited to department and department has got inherited to employee. This is a hierarchical inheritance. So if I will have show name here also, just like department name is sales department. Okay, so can you see in this class also there is ambiguity and in this class also there is ambiguity. So wherever you have this kind of ambiguity, that means in child class functions, second point I am talking about, used override. So this is also a child class function, child class, this is also a child class. So always in child class you will get the ambiguity if all three class are having same function name with same number of signature, argument or parameter. So here also you have to use override and here also you have to use override. The moment you will use override, you can see that ambiguity has gone. That means it is saying good to go. Now come to the object creation area. So what is the third point is indicating? Create a reference of topmost parent class function, parent class. What is my topmost parent class in this hierarchy? Organization. So it is saying create a reference of organization and keep it. So let's do that. Reference means left side part, instance means right side part. So I created one reference like this and put a semicolon. Okay, this is called a reference of parent class. Topmost parent class. Has to do that. And one more sentence is there. It says every time you want to call a function, you ask yourself which class function I want to call. Okay, only one allocation of the memory will happen, that name is obj, but you can call any function, any class function. So how to do that? So it says second point in this sentence, you create the instance of that class whose function you want to call. Now tell me which function you want to call. You have three hierarchy. Imagine you want to call department function, then instantiation of department, that means new department. If you want to call employee class function with the same object, then new employee, that means only one allocation of the memory will happen because only one name here, but it will allow you to call whichever class function you want to call it. Now simply suppose somebody will go for the general way. Imagine you don't know overriding. Somebody says there is inheritance, then you will say okay, in inheritance generally what we do, bottommost class we use to create the object. So if you will create the object of employee, do you think you will be able to call all three class function? It will say no. I cannot call all three class function because all are having same name as well as same parameter. Then how I will come to know which function has to call? That's why this is the technique we are applying called overriding. So overriding says while creating the object, you create the reference of that class where virtual function is available, or in other words, topmost parent class. Second line is not only second line, third line, fourth line, whatever you are going to call the function, you first ask yourself which class function I want to call. So here I am writing, suppose I want to call a department class function using same obj, because I don't want multiple allocation of the memory. Otherwise somebody can suggest me, sir, 3 classes are there, why don't you create 3 objects and enjoy whichever class function whenever you need, enjoy. So today it is 3 class, tomorrow it will be 100 classes. Will you create 100 objects? That's not the way. So if they are under hierarchy, why not I will create under the overriding. So organization obj is the reference of the topmost parent class. Now allocation of the memory has not yet happened. Why? Because new keyword is not used. Only when new keyword will be used, memory allocation will happen. So this will take 0 memory. So if you check it, it will say null. Null object means 0 memory allocation. But now I want to allocate the memory. So suppose I want to call the function of department class, then I have to say obj equal to new department. So meaning of this line is allocate memory of department class to same reference. Same reference means same obj reference. Left side part is called reference, right side part is called instance. So reference I created in line number 9, instance I created in line number 12. So both combined together, reference and instance, they will create one object. So after line number 12 only, I can say it is one object. Here I cannot say this is one object. Here I will say this is a reference of organization class. Now if I will say obj dot show name, even though there are three show names with same parameter, same name, everything same, but it will not have any confusion, because in this line just now it says please allocate the memory of department class. So obj dot show name means call the function of show name. Similarly, suppose someone said now it is time to call employee class function. Suppose I want to call employee class function. Chance is there at a time you don't need all 3. You may need any one of these, any 2 of these, any 3 of these, or all of them, who knows. So you have to apply the trick that which function I am going to call now, that class instantiation I will do. So I will say new employee. Location is same. If I will make you understand through Excel sheet about memory management, it is something like this. This is your random access memory. Inside this random access memory, it didn't create 2-3 references. It created only 1 reference. Okay, it created only 1 reference, and that reference name is obj. Now the moment you are saying new something, new something, new something, it will say new what thing? You say new department. So in line number 12, it will go and allocate the memory of department class. It will not confuse that. At a time allow this also, this also, this also, not all 3 classes memory it will allocate. It will say this time reference of organization class is going to hold instance of department. That means only this function, which is department class function, will be allocated to memory. So it will be something like this in line number 12. So show name function of department. Nothing else. It will not allocate three functions. It will say I allocated only show name function of department class. In which line? Line number 12, I think. Right? Then if I will say obj.showName, it will go to that obj and it will see only one function has been allocated here. So without any confusion, it will say I don't have any conflict, confusion or ambiguity. I can easily call show name of department class. So one class memory will be allocated at a time in this technique. Then after that you entered that function call. It showed that department function is having so and so content. After that, suppose your business requirement is I want to call also employee function. Then you go for new employee. That means this line number 16, what will happen? New employee means allocate the employee. So employee class function called show name will be allocated to obj. So what it will do? It will override the old one. And in line number 16, it will come and say show name function of employee class will be allocated the memory. That means this blue color object will have only one function at a time in its location by this technique. But simple inheritance when we are doing without overriding, three function at a time it was allocating. That's why conflict was coming. It will say, hey, all three functions are same name, same parameter, everything same. How I will understand which function will be called when? That's why it says, you go for one location only, but whenever, whichever need, you allocate that memory and call it. Then similarly, if I want to go for sometimes organization class function also, you say this. Suppose I want to call organization class function. Okay. Suppose I want to call organization. Then here you have to say new organization, as simple as that. Same rule is applicable for everybody. Now in this line number 22, it will definitely call organization class function. So let's see whether what we are understanding it is really behaving that way. I'll put a breakpoint in line number 13. I'll put a breakpoint in line number 17 and I'll put a breakpoint in line number 22. I want to know whether really this line is calling department class function, this line is calling employee class function, and this line is calling organization class function or not. So that means little bit different way we are creating the object. Parent class reference, instance of the child class, so that if there are 100 classes also, only one allocation of the memory can easily conduct all 100 class functions. Conditions apply only if they are having same name and same parameter. If they are having different name, different parameter or something, then no need for all these override keyword and all, because compiler itself will understand, here 3 parameter, here 2 parameter, here 1 parameter. Why I will confuse? In compilation time itself, no confusion. So no need to go for this override. Right? So this concept of using override to extend the function of parent into child also, with same name, same signature, same parameter, same argument, everything. This concept we say it as dynamic polymorphism, or in other words, we say it as overriding. So let's run it and see whether it is going to the respective class function or not. So here the most important thing is 3 classes. We are able to call all 3 class functions, but 3 memory we are not allocating. Only one memory allocation is solving our problem. So if I'll press F11 here, have a look. Without any confusion, it is coming to department and saying your department name is sales department. Similarly, when you go to line number 17 and press F11, without any confusion, it is saying I will come to now employee class, because currently you have allocated the memory for employee class, right? Then it came to line number 22. If I'll press F11, it will go to organization class and it will say no problem. With single memory allocation, you are able to call all 3 functions. which could not have been possible by hierarchical inheritance simply. Okay, if I will go for only hierarchical inheritance, it could not have been possible, because when you create the object of employee class purely, employee obj equal to new employee, it will say I will always call employee class function only. I will never go to this and this and that. So this is the facility, or we can say benefit of override keyword, which makes current allocation of the memory you see and call that function. Okay, so without creating three objects of three classes, with one object also I am able to call all functions whenever, whichever required, without any ambiguity, without any conflict. All right, so these three rules you have to remember. Virtual keyword in the topmost parent class, override keyword in the each and every child class wherever ambiguity is there, and while creating the object in the main to call the function, you must take care about these things. See, first you create the reference of the topmost parent class, keep it ready, and whenever whichever function you want to call, then that class instance you have to create. Instance means new keyword with something, reference means left side part of the object creation. So whenever you create an object also simply like this, as per encapsulation, if your class name is product, what you do? Obj equal to new product you do, right? Simple encapsulation I am talking about. In this also I will say left side part is reference part, right side part is the instance part. So when a reference of the class is instantiated with some class, that means allocate the memory of that class, then only we say it as object. But if I will simply put a semicolon here, I will not say it as object. I will say it is a reference of product class. Same thing I created here, reference of employee class. Organization class in line number 9. So reference of topmost parent class can instantiated with any of the child class whenever, whichever you need to call the function. So extending the functionality of parent to child with the help of override keyword, that's why we say it as overriding. So very sweet and short definition is extending functionality of parent class to child class hierarchy. That means same name, same parameter, everything same. Then only we will say extending the functionality. Okay, parent class to child class hierarchy with the help of virtual and override. Then we say overriding is the concept. Yeah, any question? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Correct.
So this words organization on the reference side and the allocation side both should be same. Anytime we are trying to allocate the memory for the object.
That is also allowed. That is what happening in line number 21.
Yeah, that is what I got the question now.
That is also allowed, but this is also allowed. You know, that means left side parent class name, right side child class name. Possible.
Yeah. So say for the organization of we have the reference here,
Mm-hmm.
and we can create an object with a different name there itself, right? If we want to use it in some other places.
Correct. Imagine somebody says, I don't want to call any other class. I only want to call new department, right? So here itself also you can do it like this. New department. Okay. Because your idea is about only calling department function. So why you will wait for next line and all? because your idea is not about to calling any other function, only department. So in the same line also you can give it, no problem. Alright, so same line or different line doesn't matter, but left side or right side, that matters. Okay, left side always reference and right side always instance. So writing organization obj equal to new organization and writing here one line, afterwards on one line, both same only. No problem.
Sometimes we want to create an object not only to understand the overriding part, the earlier part, whatever.
Generally also it is allowed. Generally also it is allowed. I mean, half of the part you wrote here, right hand side half part you wrote after 10 to 12 lines or something. Okay, that is also possible, not an issue.
Yeah, since we were using the same wordings, the reference side and the memory allocation side, I was just confused. Okay, we have to constantly use the same name.
If you don't have overriding, then it's fine as per encapsulation. Left side also same class name, right side also same class name. But if you have overriding in place, then you have a chance to write left side parent class name, right side child class name. And what is the intention of doing that? I want only one location to be allocated in random access memory. I don't want 10 kilobyte plus 10 kilobyte plus 10 kilobyte. I want only that 10 kilobyte memory should allow me to call any function at a time, any class at any time. So that is the beauty of overriding. If you have 100 classes also, it is not going to allocate 10 kilobyte, 10 kilobyte, 10 kilobyte into 100. No, only 10 kilobyte is going to help us to call any function, any class function at any time. Okay. So overriding means runtime polymorphism. So in execution time of the program, it will decide currently which class memory has been allocated, that I will call. Similarly, in line number 21, currently which class memory has been allocated, that class function I will call. So that's why only one object is able to solve all the class functions. But if you will follow only encapsulation, what could happen? Imagine you don't know overriding, only you know encapsulation or only you know inheritance. Then what will happen? If you follow only encapsulation, 100 class means 100 objects. If you follow only inheritance, then child class object means only child class function, because this is having same name, this is having same name, this is having same parameter, this is having same parameter. So how it will understand that all the function has to call? It will say, I will call only my function, other function I will not go, because no override keyword, no virtual keyword, nothing. So I will not able to call all three class functions. So both way you are facing issue. Either encapsulation you are going, 100 objects you are creating for 100 classes. If you are going inheritance way, only one object you are creating, no doubt, but that object is saying I am not capable to call all the functions. So overriding says, I am there for you, you follow my 3 rules and you will be able to call all the functions with one memory allocation. Okay, so a good developer's practice is always, can I achieve same thing with less memory allocation? Otherwise you can easily ask me, sir, why you are adding this overriding in the C#? Unnecessary, you have to learn one more chapter. Forget it. I am ready to create 100 objects for 100 classes. Then absolutely no issue. But you are not using the good developer's practice, right? Which can be done in 10 kilobyte. Why should I go for 10 into 100? 1000 kilobyte. So as a good developer, you have to learn these things, then only you can have less memory allocation, more speed of the application. Both of these should be taken care as a good developer at any moment of time. So this time speed and all we are not talking much, because we are not getting any benefit from the execution speed, but definitely we are getting benefit from memory allocation point of view, right? That's why in that Excel sheet I shown you only one box and it is solving all my problem. Otherwise for 3 classes perhaps always we are creating 3 boxes, right? 3 objects. So only one object is solving all my problems. So quick definition is extending functionality of my parent class into child class without changing argument. If somebody is ready to change the argument, then it is not overriding. Imagine somebody says, here 0 argument, here 1 argument, just like string x1. Here somebody will say, I have 2 argument, string x1 comma x2. Then why to go for override? There is no conflict at all, no? Compiler itself will easily understand the difference between this function and this function. Because yesterday only we saw, if you do the signature difference, how compiler is able to understand. That means it is no more runtime polymorphism. It is compiler time polymorphism, and my compiler is able to solve it. So why should I go for override? But problem here is everything same. Name of the function also same, parameter also same, and one is inherited to other. So that time we say extending the function of parent class to child class. Then these 3 rules you have to remember and then implement it. Alright. So there are 2 features in polymorphism it came. One is overloading, one is overriding. Almost similar features, that is called conflict or ambiguity due to repetition of the name of the function. But that conflict happens in the same class means overloading, or we say it as compile time polymorphism. And overriding is in 2 different classes or 3 different classes. This is called overriding, or it is also called runtime polymorphism. It is also called dynamic polymorphism. So whichever word they use during your interview, you should understand they are asking the same. Overriding or dynamic polymorphism, or execution time polymorphism, or runtime polymorphism. Both are, all are same name, same meaning, but different name or notation. Alright, so we have total 4 features. Yeah, any other question, guys? Roslyn. Yeah. Okay. So the name of the compiler is called Roslyn. Alright. So here we have one more feature pending. Total there are 4 features in object oriented programming. What are all we learned so far? Encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Now 4th feature is abstraction. Okay, abstraction. So before proceeding further, let me take the attendance of the class, then we'll see new feature. I can see 15 people out of 18 people in our class. 3 people are regularly absent. I have to mark it, because basically if you will be absent more, then I will not include you in the project, actually in the course, right? Because I know you people will not be able to do. So project is something which if you are doing the task during the course only, then only you can able to do. So at least I should know which guys are really always being absent. I should focus them, and separately I have to take the test. If they are performing, then only I will include them in the project, otherwise not. Alright, that is the reason why I am taking the attendance, guys. Don't miss the class, and don't miss that assignment and hands-on class as well. And sometimes we will have mock-up interview, sometimes we will have test and all, so that also never miss, because based on that only I used to decide who will be included in the project and who will not be included in the project. Because project is not something I will do and you will watch. Project is something you will do and I will review, right? So I don't want to include anybody in the project who is not really productive. So project is not mandatory for everybody. Only those who are capable, really putting the efforts, I will include them only. So you make sure, if you are not able to do the regular practice during working days, weekend at least sit back 3-4 hours and practice everything whatever we covered, and whichever assignment is available that you do. And if you have any challenges, let me know. Mostly Sunday, instead of taking some new topics, we can plan some hands-on classes as well sometimes. All right, so abstraction feature is the feature that makes our object-oriented programming as advanced object-oriented programming. So in C++, there are 3 features: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. But advanced object-oriented means Java, Python, C#, so these languages are following up one additional feature called abstraction. So since this feature made this programming language as advanced object-oriented programming language, definitely there is something called advancedness in this. I'll tell you guys, in our course, at least 5 to 6 design patterns are there. All design patterns follows up abstraction. If somebody doesn't know abstraction, they cannot do anything in the advanced technologies. It is that important. So understand the concept, understand the practical implementation. It is not difficult actually, very interesting. But yes, little attention is required. Understanding the problem, understanding the solution. As like every time, every feature, we first discuss about the problem, then we discuss about the solution. So let's first discuss about the problem. Imagine in C++, there is no abstraction. Obviously, in C++, there is nothing called abstraction. So what problem they are facing? So that they thought about some new feature, right? That will, understanding the problem in detail is half of the solution, isn't it? In every case. Here also, let's understand the problem in detail. What happened in C++ without having abstraction, so that in Java or in C#, they thought about some advanced topic called abstraction. This is also object-oriented programming concept only, but what is advancedness in this? Let's understand. So let's discuss a problem scenario first. Then yourself you will understand, yes, we need something extra. For a minute, think that in our technology there is no abstraction. Suppose only encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism is available. Now we are sitting to solve this problem, what I am going to tell you. Now think how it will solve. Suppose I have a class called C or ABC, whatever name of the class. Just a skeletal structure, so I will give any name. While implementing, we will give the proper name. Suppose I have here one function called F1. Some coding is there in it. Similarly, I have F1 and F2 and F3. 3 functions I have. Understand the problem part nicely. That's why always I suggest you be on time in the class, because the moment we start the class, always we start discussing about a problem scenario. If you are 10 minutes late, you will miss the problem scenario. You will only focus about the solution. You think somewhere we are going, without understanding a problem, we are solving a task. How much we will success? Same thing will happen if you are getting late in the class. Maybe after night you are referring it, you may understand little bit, but that time some other question mark will come. Nobody will be there to help you. So that's why understand the problem also, understand the solution also always. So problem here is, I have a class called ABC, and F1, F2 and F3 I have 3 functions. Let's talk about public functions. Why? Because I want to give accessibility to main program also. Private means it will not be accessible outside. Okay. Now I have a main here, main function, right? If I will ask you to create the object, how do you create the object? Simply ABC object name equal to new ABC. Because nothing complicated here, right? Only one class. Why should I think about parent class left side, child class right side, and so on and so forth? Only one class object I have to call. So now this obj can easily call my all three functions. obj.f1, obj.f2, and obj.f2, f3. Easy. Anybody disagree with this? Obviously we can call, isn't it? Just skeletal structure I'm writing. I'm not writing fully public, void, main, etc. You think that this is my main and this is my class. Easy, because all are public functions. So object of the class definitely help me to call all three functions. Suppose this is obj1, object number 1, and this is obj2. This is suppose obj2. We will not jump to suddenly abstraction. First let's understand, if only encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism is there, what is the problem we are facing for certain scenarios? So think this is my class called ABC, all are public functions, and I created object number 1 and I created object number 2. Easy. My object number 1 also can call all three function. My object number 2 also can call all three function. Absolutely fine. But why basically people create 2 objects or 3 objects? Because perhaps this is for some other guy, this is for some other guy. You remember encapsulation, first class of object oriented programming. I said there are 3 employees. First objective for employee number 1, second objective for employee number 2, third objective for employee number 3. Each object will have different bunch of name, employee ID and salary, right? Makes sense. So here also imagine obj1 is meant for some other guy called admin, and obj2 is meant for some other guy called supervisor. Suppose. Okay. Now my problem scenario here is, question to you is, I want this admin object, whichever obj1, which I said as admin object, should call all three functions. But this second object should call only f1 and f2. This should show error to me. I mean, not permitted, suppose f3. Because this f3 is having some secret information which should be only known to admin. Okay, which should only known to admin, this f3 functionality. But I'm helpless, right? Currently I'm following only encapsulation here. I have no other technique with me. I'm helpless because the moment I created the object of ABC class, all three are public, means this will automatically called. I'm not able to restrict. Now somebody is very clever. He said me, sir, very simple. Why don't you go here and make it private? The moment I made it private, what will happen, guys? obj2 will not be able to call, that's fine. Even obj1 also will not be able to call, na? Don't you think? That means permanently restricting the accessibility outside. But I don't want that. I want obj1 should be able to call, obj2 should not be able to call. That is my requirement, and you are asking me private. That is not a solution. Private means nobody can able to call. But my requirement is first object should be able to call, second object should not be able to call. So making a private thing is not the right approach. Is there any other technique in your mind? First of all, inheritance will not go for. Why? Because at least 2 classes is required for inheritance, na? I have only 1 class and I am creating that class object only. Then why should I go for inheritance? That means inheritance is not adding value in this particular problem scenario, isn't it? Encapsulation anyway it is not adding value, because private means not at all accessible to obj1 or obj2. That is also not the one which you want. Think about polymorphism, whether any polymorphism related things is solving our problem. In one class, out of two types of polymorphism, which polymorphism is applicable? First one. But unfortunately there is not two function with same name, right? Then polymorphism is also not in place, not going to solve our problem, because polymorphism is something when naming repetition happens. But here very simple, f1, f2, f3, all three functions are different name. Why should we think at all about polymorphism? But my problem is in place. Tell me how my problem will be solved, whether my polymorphism, whether my encapsulation, whether my inheritance, or apart from these three, something else. I need my solution of the problem. So if C++ is offering three features, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism, obviously this problem cannot be resolved by C++. This is called role-based authorization. Okay? Admin is the role, he is authorized for all three functionality. Supervisor is the role, he is authorized for two functionality, not for three functionality. That is the problem scenario. I want it. How to solve, I don't know. Maybe some new feature is going to solve it, but as far as three feature is concerned, we don't know how to solve this problem. That means indirectly saying, role-based authorization C++ cannot provide you. Asking, I am admin, I should get everything of it. You are supervisor, you should get 2 out of it. He is one clerk, he should get only 1 out of 3. This kind of features C++ cannot provide, because it has only 3 features, and out of those 3 features, we don't think this feature can be applicable in encapsulation or inheritance or polymorphism. Okay, so forget about solution. Problem you understood, all of you? Anyway, solution we are going to think. Anybody there who cannot understand the problem part? I said by writing private, not even admin can access, not even supervisor can access. It's a problem, but I want it. So let it be public. If you public, this is also able to access, this also able to access, but that also I don't want. I want admin should be able to access F3, but supervisor should not be able to access F3. F1, F2, no problem. Let both of them call. In real-time scenario, you will face this kind of situation. Imagine this is not F1, this is called insert data. This is called update data. This is called delete data, suppose. For example, when one new employee is joining, insert data. When one employee is saying my mobile number is changed, update data. When one employee is giving the resignation, delete the data. Imagine they are saying accountant should be able to do this and this, but unless HR manager comes, deleting the data is not possible. HR manager only should be able to delete the data. Suppose that means HR manager will serve like admin, you can say. He should be able to do all 3 functionality. But clerk or accountant, he should be able to do only first and second. New employee registration and updating the employee information possible. So that kind of scenario you may face sometimes. Okay, so I will make it back to F1, F2, F3. So what is the solution, guys? Anybody has anything in mind? Anyway, abstraction will solve that, but as of now, whatever you have the knowledge, anybody will suggest anything to me to solve this problem? Where to inherit? Only one class.
Yeah, that's what that we have to add all the
But where is other class? We have only one class, right? Inheritance comes into picture only when at least two class is there.
Yeah, another class or
That means you will end up with 3 function to 3 class, right? So tomorrow I have 100 function. Will you say each class should have only one function, not more than that? Will you say that? Then we are going back to C language. No need for class because each class will have only one function. Don't you think? Tomorrow 100 functions. Will you create 100 class? Because each function might be separately given accessible to somebody. So will you create 100 class? And you will say, hey admin, for you I will give 100 objects. Hey supervisor, for you I will give you 99 objects. Hey accountant, for you I will give 98 objects. Will you say that? No. Again, we are going backward in the technology, right? Jugaad. In Hindi we say jugaad. Okay? Don't go for that. Is there any technology help we can do? Like just now we saw overriding, right? Only one memory was helping us to solve all class problem. That makes sense. But if somebody will say, sir, why you are bothering? You go for 100 class means 100 objects, chutti. Whichever function you want to call, use that object. If you want to call F1, F2, use 2 objects called obj1 or obj2. It is something like, 100 allocation of the memory. Similarly here 100 class means 100 different allocation of the memory. That is not the right thing. Is there any other? For other guys, what she suggests why not we will go for one class called A, one class called B, one class called C. Okay, and here I will have only F1, here I will have F2, and here I will have F3. Now what you do, you inherit them. Not a good idea, but I'm just translating what she is suggesting. Suppose we did like this. Now you are saying, if admin came, you create the object of C and give it to him. Create the object of C and give it to him. If supervisor came, create the object of B and give it to him. Right? If some other guy came, create the object of A and give it to him. Fine. Understood. But tomorrow I have 100 functions. Should I go for 100 different classes and 100 different objects also? Extra memory allocation and complication in the programming. Both of you are getting, disadvantage. But my intention is, no, I don't want to break the class because I don't want such complication and extra memory allocation. So problem scenario I kept in front of you. Now it is your duty to discuss, to think little bit and bring me the solution. Tomorrow first I will ask you solution. Abstraction no need to read. Okay, abstraction I will teach you. But you have to help me. Is there any scenario where you can help me for this problem? But if somebody didn't understand the problem, please tell me. Problem all of you understood, right? What is the problem scenario we are discussing about? This should not be allowed. Okay? This should not be allowed. That is my problem. But if I am creating simply public, it is allowing. If I make it private, none of them are getting it. That is where my problem is. I don't want to break this class into 3 because tomorrow 100 function means 100 different allocation unit I have to give. A, B, C, like that various classes, isn't it? So I don't want that also. Is there any other solution you think yourself? And next class when we'll meet, first question to you guys will be, did you find any solution? Right? then we will go for abstraction and all that. So I will stop the class now. You think at home and we will discuss about next class. Yep.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
Yeah. When is our test? Probably we'll plan next Sunday. Today is Sunday, next Sunday we'll plan. But I have not finalized, but you asked, that's why roughly I'm saying probably next Sunday. But I will tell you, I will declare you.
Okay, so next Sunday we might have to discuss.
Yep. Any of the Sunday basically I arrange all these things because it may be sometimes it will take 2 hours and so on. So Sunday only we'll do. Let's see how much I can complete till Sunday. Accordingly I will decide. So before 2 to 3 days at least I will inform. Okay. All right. So see you guys next class.